Hi, hello everybody. So this is going to be a little bit of a different video, but I'm here to talk about a ever-increasing issue that has been plaguing Destiny Rising, in particular with a lot of its artifacts and abilities in the game. And this issue has to do with the fact that there's an ever-increasing amount of artifacts and abilities that have inaccurate or misleading descriptions. So for instance, I have already discovered at least 5 artifacts in this game that have inaccurate or misleading descriptions, and I've also discovered a passive already that also has an inaccurate or misleading description. And this includes Upright Guard and Inverted Guard, Nimble Ground, which while it states you will gain damage resistance while moving, it does not state that you have to be grounded while moving. So if you are in the air and jumping around, Nimble Ground will not have any effect on you. Additionally, both binging planetesimal and healing mutations percentages listed are actually much smaller than the healing that you will actually receive. And I'm putting this video out because I already put out an artifacts video with certain recommendations that included artifacts such as Nimble Ground and also the Ring of Healing, because I assumed that it would work with Yolder. However, Yolder's own passive is misleading because it states that if Yolder has an overshield, 100% of healing will be converted into an overshield. Okay, now what this doesn't specify is that any and all healing sourced from artifacts does not seem to overflow into the shield at all. I tested this with several other artifacts that would also not proc Yolder's own self-healing, and it did not convert. So it's a lot more like the Ring of Conversion artifact, where it states that overflow healing from abilities, however it doesn't have to be the healer's own abilities, but it has to be an ability from a character and cannot be sourced from an artifact. The other artifact that I recommended that is now known to be incorrect and misleading in its description is Nimble Ground, which says take less damage while moving. However, it does not state that you have to be on the ground. As you can see here, I will stand still, it'll put out a volley, and I will take 832. And if I wait for the shield to regen, and if I send another volley, and if I strafe, I'll now be 890. However, if I wait for my shield to regen again, send another volley, jump in the air, it's 832. I lost all 7% of the damage resistance that I would have had normally. And this greatly hinders its viability as an artifact, because now it is requiring you to be grounded. Now, some characters will be able to make good use of it because they don't jump around very often. However, a character like Wolf, who you will often be jumping around in the air in order to get better shots with your grenade launcher, will be greatly hindered by this. So I'm going to have to completely retest and test every single artifact in this game to figure out if their descriptions are accurate, if the numbers that they list are accurate, and if they aren't accurate, I need to figure out exactly what they are or how they are calculated. The fact that we are so early into testing and that I've already found 5 inaccurate artifact descriptions and I found 1 inaccurate ability description is really, really bad. And this puts any sort of like build crafting or artifact selection completely on hold, because we have to figure out exactly how every single artifact works, and in order to make sure that the descriptions aren't lying to us or are misleading us. Additionally, and this seems to be an even bigger issue, I've also discovered that both the vulnerability boost and the damage bonus boost, both of these attributes seem to have no bearing on any sort of increase in strength or damage whatsoever. Damage bonus boost does not seem to increase the damage bonuses you receive from artifacts, from your weapons, or from abilities, even Tantu as well, which I originally thought was working and was its intended purpose. However, it was actually an incorrect description from the ability strength attribute, which if I take a look at right here, ability strength tiered effect says that casting signature abilities also grants weapon damage. However, it's not just signature abilities, it's also super abilities that are counted, which was why my testing was inaccurate. Additionally, vulnerability boost seems to have no effect on any debuff applied, and I tested this with the corrupt debuff, I tested this with damage over time debuffs. It seems to have no noticeable effect whether or not you have either of these applied or not. Both of these attributes seem to have no applicable effects whatsoever. So with all of this in mind, as I test more of these artifacts, I am going to be updating the spreadsheet, which will be linked in the description, and I will put in a pinned comment as well. And every single artifact will be tested, and I will have to regrade every single artifact in order to give you the best artifact recommendations possible, and then create character builds in the future. But because of this issue, a lot of those builds will have to be postponed until all of the tests are completed. With that all said, I'm going to be streaming all of my artifact testing and updating this spreadsheet live. So if you're interested in figuring out what the artifacts actually do, be sure to tune into that. Thank you all so much for watching, and if you're enjoying my coverage of Destiny Rising and would like to stay up to date with everything regarding this game, as well as see more builds and guides in the future, be sure to subscribe to my channel, as it will be the best way for you to keep up to date with Destiny Rising. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, I will see you next time.